Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Seattle Surge find themselves in quite the predicament going into the Major 3 qualifiers. Scump calls them out last night heavily due to the Pred deal they tried to accomplish, and then Seattle shut down, at least from OpTic's perspective. But also, does Pred and Sib even want to be there anymore? Pred has certainly implied by some of his Twitter likes over the last 24 hours that he is not happy with this Seattle Surge camp, and more than likely, this team won't be successful as a result going forwards. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate. Plenty of drama to dive into today. Firstly, shout out Asim 23 yesterday at this point, so unfortunately missed his birthday, but you know, it is how it is. So, you know, happy birthday to Asim. Hopefully he has a great year. And yeah, I don't know, free Asim. It's pretty tough to see him on the London camp right now. We'll see how it goes. Also on Monday, we get some more information on ranked play. Of course, it's arriving relatively soon, we believe. I mean, they promised it in season 2, so it better be here. There's more details though, whether it's going to be exactly like last season's one, whether there's going to be any, you know, additional fixes or whatever. We'll see, but, you know, it's been about time that ranked play arrives, to be honest. It's been a long time coming. Also, this, though, from the Ghost to Vote, because we know, well, we don't know for sure, but there's been some increasing rumours over the last couple of days that there's going to be a new COD this year. Despite them talking about all this 2-year cycle stuff, we potentially are going to get an entirely new full premium release, which I think the plan was that they were going to, the second year of Modern Warfare 2 was going to be all the old maps, right? Bringing the old maps back from Modern Warfare 2, and Sledgehammer was going to create that map pack, and like that was going to be the expansion stuff, and they'd charge however much for that. That might still be what they do, to be honest, right? And they might just be calling it this full premium release to pretend as if people are actually getting good value for their money, whereas they're actually just going to release all these new maps into the game. I don't know. But if they are planning to just do an entirely new COD game, then, you know, surely they've got some of these maps ready to go already that they could just release now, like, you know, because at the end of the day, the whole positivity about the 2-year cycle was that the second year we were going to have all these great maps to play on because they were going to bring back all the old school ones, which might still be true. But if it's not, then, you know, we better get some of those maps sooner so we can potentially add them to the pool, because, yeah, Fortress Control, it's still got to go, in my very humble opinion. Now, quickly, there's some Gunless as well, just because I saw him at the Major, right? Obviously, he's been playing in the Challenger side. I do wonder if Gunless is going to, you know, be able to get back into business. He's been trying to play 8 and get ready to go again, even as he says here, Scraps and I was nothing, so I had to become everything on the map. So, yeah, we'll see, but it feels like we haven't talked much about Gunless lately, despite the fact that in Challengers, theoretically, he should be one of the top prospects to get signs, but really hasn't been in the conversation for some time, unfortunately. I'm also not sure on the update, at least as of recording, on the YouTube exclusivity stuff. I know that Hicks was talking about it on this podcast the other day, about, you know, the frustrations that the owners weren't consulted on this stuff, and the league is effectively saying they don't care if they do sign this deal. We don't know if it's happening immediately, whether it's happening, you know, in a little while. We saw that Hex said the other day there was some kind of a meeting they were doing potentially with the CDL to hopefully say, look, guys, if you want to get the money from the rights deals, fair enough, but at least give it a few months, or give it to the end of this season, give it to next season or something, so we can capitalize on the growth we are currently enjoying. But yeah, we'll see about that one from Hex. I don't know if there's going to be updates on that over the coming days. Now, last night, Scump put together his tier list. He was using the Break and White site, which is pretty cool as well. But you know, he put together this tier list and he came up with the following. So I think it's interesting, right? He's actually got many different tiers. It's funny that he's got London in their own tier down at F, which I do think is probably justified, but as unfortunate as that looks, I think it's nice to see, because I was talking yesterday about the fact that I still think subliners are better than people are giving them credit for a little bit. He's got them third, which I think is probably about right. I would probably have FaZe in their own tier. Yes, Thieves fought them very closely indeed at the Major, but you know, to me, if there was another Major happening right now, I'd say that FaZe have a significantly greater chance than Thieves to win it, because I want to see what Thieves did again, right? They've been consistent, they've been all right, but they had a great run on LAN here at Major 2, but like, it's still not guaranteed they can replicate that, whereas for FaZe, they're always going to be there on the Championship Sunday, it feels like. He's got Rokkr 4th in the A tier, then OpTic, Breach, and Ultra, so interesting that he's got Ultra being effectively the 7th best team here on his list. Feel like it's interesting with Ultra, because many would say, you know what, they're still like 3rd in the point standings. Yes, they've had a couple of difficult majors, but they've been great online, so, you know, and they only lost to the top 2 teams at Major 2, but they did get smoked by the top 2 teams at Major 2 in FaZe and Los Angeles Thieves. So I'm still not really sure what to say about Ultra, but he's got Seattle Surge as the 9th best team here in the league. Despite all the talent they have, they're down there in the C tier, and, you know, obviously that's pretty gutting for if you're a Seattle Surge fan. Now, Pred seems to either agree with Scump's assessment or believe they're even worse than they're making out here. So these are Pred's Twitter likes here. So he likes that Crim6 streak we saw earlier today. He likes that Scump tier list as well. And then he likes this one from Gersh. I don't know how you could argue with this one. Now, I'm pretty sure Gersh has tried to be about realistic here with what he's done, but he has put Surge as the worst team in the entire league. Now, I feel like this is exaggerating things a bit, but in fairness, the rest of the list is actually, about right. So, maybe he's legit about this Surge being D tier thing. But nonetheless, I mean, look at this tier list, right? We've got Surge down here in D, the worst team in the league, and Pred is liking this tweet, right, saying, yeah, actually, we are pretty terrible. So this is the question that I have about the Seattle Surge situation right now. If I'm Surge, like, my goal is surely to try and hold on to one of Sib and Pred next year. The issue is, if Sib and Pred don't like the current team, don't believe it can be successful, like we saw the coach of Surge the other day, Sam Phoenix, say, look, I'm not making any changes, this team's perfectly fine, like, you guys are going to see that we're going to turn up and all this. And look, in fairness, they had a good Major 1, terrible Major 2, they might have a decent Major 3, that's just how Surge tends to go. Super, boomerang type stuff with this roster. But if the team chem is not there, and if Pred and Sib are not convinced that this team is actually going to work out, then, is it actually likely this team does anything particularly special? I wouldn't say so, especially because, as I say, if you're Surge, what is your plan for the next 6 to 12 months? You know that Pred is probably going to leave to OpTic. Now, of course, if you're Surge, you're maybe hoping that Shotzzy and Huke are just become gods, right, in terms of that SMG role now with Ghosty there. They, and OpTic win everything, they win the World Championship, and they don't need Pred anymore. But if that's the case, Pred will probably go somewhere else, because if Pred's getting frustrated with his organization, with the fact that his team is kind of terrible, calling himself D, well, not calling himself, but liking a tweet where he puts even Seattle Surge here in the D tier, and liking Scump's one as well, where he puts them in the C tier. And obviously the other day as well, saying that he's LeBron on the Cavaliers, like, it's unlikely that he wants to stay on that organization next year, given that he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, his contract comes to an end, and obviously Scump, I'm just going to share this clip here, where he talks about the fact that, obviously OpTic aren't happy with Surge either, because they screwed over OpTic in this whole transaction where they tried to get Pred, and I'm sure Pred feels screwed over as well by the whole thing.
I think Surge could have happened if Surge didn't completely just for, us in the initial, deal. Because they us over. I'm straight up. They us over.
Yeah, but what do you... I think this is above your head too, but what do you value more, right? Like the pride of not doing a deal with Seattle, or letting Ender go where he would want. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Seattle really wanted him, is the pride aspect and the annoying aspect of that whole thing enough to stop that from happening? You know what I mean?
I don't think, see the one, this is why I'll always be on OpTic. It's great. They're not gonna, they wouldn't let that get in the way. Like, they wouldn't be petty about it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean.
Whereas Surge, colossally, let's not put it lightly. They f***ed us. They took us out to dinner. They took us back home. They f***ed us. You know what I'm saying?
Sick.
What do you
You're
mean?
Sick.
What do you mean?
You're sick.
We went out to dinner. We paid.
So we saw this clip the other day, right, from Phoenix, the coach of the team, where he says there's going to be no partaking in Rostermania here for Surge. They're not making any changes. The team is staying the same. We saw earlier today that they're not interested in getting iLLeY either, even though potentially that could be an upgrade to certain elements of their team. But, still, they're not making any moves, apparently. Now, are Pred and Sib happy with this? Let's be honest here, right? Because Pred does not seem so happy with the situation. As I say, calling himself LeBron of the Cavaliers the other day, was still their top performer at the major. Yes, Sib has been bad in Search and Destroy, but, his respawn has still been very good, and those two are the clear standouts of the team. The team chem, obviously, is probably falling apart right now. One might well argue it's time to move accuracy on elsewhere, and of course, OpTic aren't happy with Surge as well, because, the story goes that they were trying to get Pred, of course, and then Surge would keep raising the price, and OpTic would meet it, and then Surge will actually know we're not selling him after all, and they messed them around for 9 days before they eventually signed Huke, so that soured the relationship relationships there, certainly between Hex and Scump, and probably even Pred and his own organization. This is the issue, right? If you're Surge, like, you know, what is your plan for next season? You're probably going to lose Sib. You're probably going to lose Pred because, you know, the way you're currently dealing with your roster, they might not want to stay on your organization anyway. They want to go elsewhere. They will have offers elsewhere next season, especially when they're unrestricted because their contracts come to an end. Whether that's OpTic, whether that's someone else, who knows? But who cares, right? Because if you're Surge, you've got to be planning for next year. And this is the thing with them not selling to OpTic, that if they sold Pred to OpTic, they could have said, okay, whatever. We lost our star player. That's not ideal. We were going to lose him anyway at the end of the season. We already won an event with him last year at Major 3. That was far from guaranteed to repeat itself this year anyway. And seems almost impossible that's going to happen now with the state of affairs on that team. They're still refusing to make changes. They're probably frustrating their star players. So, you know, like in 12 months' time, what's their roster going to be? Who are they building around? They got lucky that they could get Sib and Pred. Like, Sib could go somewhere good. Pred will go somewhere good. And then who are they left with, right? Have they got that second generation of talent? Like, have they got the challenger players coming through? Not really, right? You know, do they have the right? I mean, of course, Novus, right, who was there as the general manager of the team, is now with Los Angeles Thieves, making calls over there. So, yeah, Surge of maybe, you know, they obviously started out the CDL as a terrible organization, doing, like, I mean, they were just getting bodied left, right, and center in Modern Warfare. They signed some big name players, but, you know, it wasn't a good team decision. They made it work in Vanguard by actually signing some good rookies, and now they're going to lose those rookies with seemingly no kind of follow-up plan. So, I don't know, a bit of a rant, to be honest, because I'm just frustrated with the way that Surge have dealt with this situation, because it feels to me their chances of building something impressive here are just kind of going down the drain every stage they don't make a change, at least to try and, you know, please Sim and Pred. If they made a change and actually improved their team, maybe Sim and Pred would be like, you know what, okay, this organization has our backs. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know the internals, but it just seems that those guys are not happy with the way things are going right now. Also wanted to mention this, speaking of some of the rookies, these are the list of all the rookies over the last few years. Now, Scrumintel ranks them like this, 2020, 1, 2, 3 in order of the last few years, which might be about right. I do think, though, that there is an element of which, like, the rookies that have come into the league a few years ago already are going to look slightly better than the rookies that have just come in, because you've only got to see, you know, Scrappy and JoeDeceives or whatever for a few months at this point, whereas you've got to see Shotzzy and Drazah, right, for several years, where they've improved over time. The rookies that have just come in are not going to be as good as they will be in 2 or 3 years' time. So I think there's always some kind of bias towards the rookies that have been around a little while. But I thought this is very interesting. Scump, Zinni, and Damon, that being Karma and Methods, of course, come up with their teams based on this list. They come with an A team and a B team of the best rookies, in their opinion, in the CDL. Now, their teams are actually very interesting. So Zinni says the following: Shotzzy, Hydra, Sib, and Insight. He's the only one who has Insight in his top 2 teams. Kind of crazy to me, actually, that Insight, despite being, ever since Insight's joined the league, he's probably been a top 3 S&D player. Like, and okay, he's a very slow AR, but has still been very impactful and successful since he joined the league. So for Scump or Damon not to even have him on there, I thought was kind of surprising to me. Of course, Methods did get replaced by him, so it makes sense he's going to give him a lot of credit. But still, I thought that was interesting. I was also surprised that Scump didn't have CleanX, because I think CleanX, okay, is probably a bit underrated in terms of the impact that he's brought in the years since he has joined the league. And okay, Scump and Zinni, they both have Shotzzy, they both have Hydra, Sib is here as well. Damon's team is a bit different. He's got Pred, Hydra, Wake, and Drazah, and also Scump puts Drazah in his first team as well. Do you think Drazah is one of those players that, like, I always gas Drazah a fair bit, and he's obviously a bit of a controversial figure, but I do believe that he's a bit underrated, actually. Like, he's good with every weapon. He's a mega grinder as well, and probably someone who you really want to be teaming with. So I think it's quite cool to see Scump and Karma give Drazah, I think, some of the respect that he deserves. And I thought it was a bit interesting as well that Karma didn't even have Shotzzy on his A team, but, you know, had Pred there instead, which I think is also probably the way to go, to be honest, at the moment. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.